Hi, good morning or good afternoon, depending if you're as lazy as I am and as unambitious as I be. To where you sleep in to noon. This is a joke. Or is it? It's in the beholder, isn't it? I come here to say something very simple, very quick. There are a great many people who are doing something. Probably damn near all of us have at least done it. Many of us are doing it unconsciously, without awareness and without knowing that we're doing it. It's all got something to do with what we call the ego, beyond the superficial insult of that. You got an ego, boy. Look at that girl with her ego hanging out. It's beyond that. But something to do with ego. That we can work with that. So people, based on experiences, are walking around with mental images of each other in their head. And some of these mental images are damn near terrifying. So, and the mental image is usually aspects of what is inside of us. What is inside of us, by rule of thumb, generally makes us, or generally makes something. Like, okay, you hear, you are what you eat. Same idea, right? What you put in becomes your body. It doesn't become you, it becomes your body. And so some people, a lot, I'd say some, that's an understatement, believe me. Many of us, many people, have conjured up and created mental images of others, maybe the co-workers, maybe the friends, maybe their families, maybe the cashier, all of a sudden, all kinds of things. And they're all playing inside of a story, inside of a mental drama inside. All right? Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, maybe it's whatever. But when you do this unconsciously, your ego is doing it, and it's using your mind to play out its theatrics and its dramas, its show. And so, we'll come here today, when people are interacting with you, and they're making a lot of accusations, and they're saying a lot of things to you or about you that are not true, but you can kind of feel that it's like they're true to them. Like a lot of people who have a problem with lying, they're doing the same thing, I imagine. Because some liars, they're generally terrified of what they're saying. They're not gaslighting in that instance, but you can tell. We've all come across somebody, and it kind of irks us. How can you believe? Where do you get this from? How do you believe such a thing? Right? Like, it makes us scratch our head and say, is that person for real? Because it's so convincing, because it's in their mind. Their ego is a liar. Preference is the evidence of ego. When we suffer, there is ego. That is the rule of thumb. When something bothers us, irks us, jerks us, worries us, and rattles and shakes our bones, that is ego. There is ego, to say the least. So that is ego, there is ego. That's the evidence of it. Now, the less that we suffer or are unsatisfied or not liking something or even liking something, the less of that there is, then by definition, the less ego there is. And so a big part of the spiritual journey is you go through the journey, you're walking through life, so to speak, on the spiritual journey, and you are effectively being triggered Everything can be like a mirror to you, but whatever. You're being triggered by something. Something make you feel away, and you don't know why, maybe. Whatever. You're unconscious of it, probably. You don't know. In other words, why? You're just thinking and feeling it, whatever. It's triggering you. Well, we all know we usually experience the end of a chain of events, and suffering is our experience at the end of a not too long chain of events. I wrote about that chain of event a little bit, so it's in my writings. I wrote a lot over the last day, so it's kind of all because I channel it. It's divinely inspired, and I channel it here. So, well, who do you channel? I don't know, but it just comes out. Now, I believe I'm not channeling so much an entity as a field of information. I believe that is what I channel, because I don't feel an entity or an influence, but I channel out wisdom and insights and knowledge, and in a way it happens is it just flows out. So I believe I tap into fields and I channel those. Yeah. But sometimes, depending on the field that I'm channeling in, I have images of who I associate with, well, it could be them, I don't know. I associate with that type of field, or that type of wisdom, or that collection of information. So if it's a psychological insight, all of a sudden I'm seeing images of like Carl Jung. If it's spiritual, I'm seeing Jesus. Or sometimes someone who looks like an Indian guru. I don't know who he is, but all kinds of things. So I think I'm more channel fields of information. So the point is, let me get back here. There's a chain of events, and at the end of it, we experience suffering. So when we experience suffering, to end it, to conclude it, we have to work backwards, so to speak. We have to work backwards. So we suffer, and then we got to start asking the questions, meditating, fasting, self-inquiry, all the fantastic spiritual healing practices. And we work backwards to get to where it began, at the chain of events. And that translates to usually it's memories. Usually it's memories of the time we experienced it the first time. And we experienced it ignorantly, so we probably couldn't process it correctly. And it became part of our ego. And whatnot. Ego is built off preference. Preference is inherent in duality. Because duality, I think it's a little bit different though. I think it's a little bit different. Did duality exist? We were just unaware of it? Or was it only by our awareness did duality come to be? I don't know. I don't have to know to understand that I don't like the experience that I experience, right? I don't have to know all that trivial stuff. That's mind chatter. Fascinating stuff. Trivial at the end of the day, though. So a lot of people walking through the world, and they've got a mental image of everyone around them, their friends, their co-workers, their boss, their cashier at a random cashier at Walmart, whatever. And some people's is getting out of control. They got a lot of emotional baggage, a lot of pain going on inside, a lot of suffering, so to speak. They're bothered by something. Maybe the time they felt that life wasn't fair to a really big degree, maybe the time that they were powerless and they had to experience something really, really awful. So essentially, they conjure up mental images of people around them, maybe even their spouse, maybe even their boyfriend, maybe even their girlfriend, maybe even their twin flame. And they conjure up a mental image. And this mental image, it seems to be inside of them, it gets progressively worse no matter what the outside is doing. No matter what the outside may do to contradict that mental image, whatever the outside, the man or woman is no match for the myth, is what I'm trying to say. And the myth is the mental image. It's the counterfeit of them. And so the person walking around, and all day, and boy, boy, it's bad in the ones who ruminate. When people ruminating, they're like, this blah, 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 blah. And then any time that the outside, the non-counterfeit version, of course, it messes up out of a whole legion amount of good. Doesn't matter. The bad one adds on to that person's mental image of that other person, and they continue ruminating, and it continues to be stronger and stronger and stronger and more powerful. And then they start interacting with the outside one as if they were the counterfeit one, because that's what they see inside, and inside influences in all kinds of ways. Before you act and before you talk and before you do anything, before you express yourself, there is a thought, there's a feeling, and then there's action. And the energy conjures up, flows out, flows into a ground point. And so, how you think of other people, that is how you experience them. Easy way to say that. An old way of saying that was this: how you see the world and how you see a person is how they will become. And there's some mystical elements to this still to this day. You emit an aura, and all that stuff's inside of you. So when you expand, breathing and heartbeat and whatnot, and contract, you're taking, it's like a hand, really. Your aura can be thought of like a hand. Your field, it grabs on whatever's inside. You're full of love, and then it flows it out. It flows it out. Radiates it out. And then whatever's outside of you, it pulls it in. It comes inside. And this goes on and on and on. This is the breath of life, the dance of the dance. This is the breath of God. This is the breath of life, the spirit. This is the dance of life. Dance the dance of life. And we're all dancing it, baby. And so there's a little bit more than just saying it's a psychological phenomenon. Psychology is like one of the religions for secularity, or whatever. It's one of the religions for the world, for the material. Although, that's like saying that all psychologists and therapists reject anything metaphysical in a spiritual way, and that's not true. That is not true. Humans, we like to talk, we like to understand things in a definitive way. So much so we're wrong a lot of the time. And so, I'm not a psychologist. Look at me. I got the Spirit, I got the Holy Spirit. I'm just a holy man with mystical variation. And beyond all that, that shit's ego too. That's built off of a preference. Oh, it'd be cool to be that instead of just being, right? So there's preference in that. I made it very simple. You're welcome. There's preference in that. Preference, the evidence of ego. Surprise. So you guys get the point. Walking around and all doing charging up, ruminating on this mental image of somebody, probably built off the time that they hurt us, and then, and then we release it, and it goes out there, and it's going on inside, and so what you got to do. And if my word of wisdom today for you, after saying all that and giving you some things to ponder on, and my explaining best that I could at this moment, is that what I want to give you to consider when you interact with folks like that are in the fallen state and aren't in the greatest of positions and feelings and whatnot, is that don't believe what they tell you about you. Don't believe them. Don't believe them when they tell you how you are. Don't believe them when they tell you what you are. Don't believe them, because they're talking to a mental image, and they're talking about that mental image that they themselves are the creator of. They have created that image. They are the God of their creation, and they'll blame you for what they created. That's what they're doing. And that has a lot to do. If someone like that ever tells you, ego death, I had an ego death, I've done it, and they're doing that, they done went back to sleep. You taking a nap. Wake up, sunshine. Wake up, sunshine. You're asleep. Wake up. Dreaming another dream. You woke up from one only to go back to sleep again. Don't be lazy spiritually, guys. Learn how the things work. Master them. Because then, even if you doze off, so to speak, you'll catch on. You'll get better at waking up over and over again. Get what I mean? So, that's what I came here to say today. Share with you. People are walking around with the mental image of you. People are walking around with the mental image of many people. And it gets bad before it gets better. And how any of us, when we create those mental images, and they are hard to see, they are hard to recognize, they are difficult to overcome, and it takes a lot of internal work to get over being wounded and becoming wise and being immune as opposed to injured. So, I understand how difficult it is. I understand how fucking insane it sounds, but I wouldn't preach it if I hadn't experienced it. And I didn't. This wasn't what I did, and my internal state got a lot better, and I could see the difference from a perspective of awareness, as opposed to I think it's this way, or even I feel it's that way, but I could see it objectively. And so, watch those mental images, guys. Get in there and find out why they exist. They're built off of experiences and memory and things of that nature, because they're built off preference. Therein they lie in the ego, and therein they compose and culminate to the ego. The ego's like a math problem. You got like 2 plus 2 equals 4, right? Unless you're doing this new math, apparently it's 2 plus 2 equals fish. But 2 plus 2, but I digress in my neck of the woods. 2 plus 2 equals 4. So one of this kind of experience, whatever kind it is, plus this other kind of experience equals part of the ego, piece of the ego. So you take all that stuff together, and we could sum it up as some bit of math going on, and then you get an ego at the end of all that. And that ego is a program that essentially is being run. I don't know where it's being run, but I know it's a program. And that program is trying to live through the body. Funny thing is that program called the ego, that solution and answer to that math problem called the ego, which is the ego. It's funny because it ignores you exist. And it's like you. It doesn't know you exist or something, and you don't know it exists. So you're both just ignorant as hell until you're not. When you stop being ignorant to things, less and less ego. The less ego there is, the more God there is, because in the absence of ego, there is you. There is only you where there had been ego before. And thus, the less ego there is, the more God there will be. So yeah. So go check out some of my writings, like and follow. Go check my YouTube channel out. I think right now I'm calling it before Kurt was, I am. Go check me out. I usually talk about like spiritual things, but sometimes I talk about cars and fixing them and all kinds of things. And I always try to let the spirit flow through that, so we get some spiritual stuff. Get some spiritual stuff included in some worldly stuff. We're going to bridge both these worlds. We're going to bring the 5th dimension to the 3rd dimension. No more cubes, no more circle, only what we can see, inside to outside and everywhere in between. So I have to go to the shipping place, but that's all I have to say today. Thanks for watching. I hope everything goes your way. You can make it so. If it ain't, see ya.